Hey, boys and girls, it's Miss Welch. I knew you guys were going to miss me like crazy, so I wanted to go ahead and try to keep you caught up with your lessons. So let's go ahead and look at page 198 in our iReady books. And I don't know if you remember from last week, but this week we're focusing on multiplying fractions. I am coming to you from my house, which means tomorrow this will have already been recorded. So I just don't want to leave you guys without a lesson because I think we need to keep moving along. And we've got some other stuff that we're going to be doing this week, like our Performance Matters test. So we're going to go over a little bit of that today and try to get our iReady lesson out of the way because it's not very long. And that's all we're going to do. And then you can have your iReady time and some other time while I'm out. So let's take a look. Today, we're still on lesson 18. And I'm sorry about the shadow, but I can't really do a whole lot about that. But we're multiplying fractions and we're on our guided instruction. So we've moved ahead from our introduction. So remember the other day when we talked about multiplication and we said that we're just thinking about having copies of something. When we looked at 8 times 1/3 or 2 groups of 4/3, we were having 8 copies of 1/3. So the same thing, we looked at this over here. When you multiply 4 times 1/3, you have 4 copies of 1/3. And look, we used a model, just like we could use models for regular multiplication of whole numbers, we can use models for multiplication of fractions. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And I'm going to, at some point, ask you to pause the video and see if you guys can work as a team to figure some of these out. You have to understand I've got a camera base right here, so I'm going to have to write a little odd, and hopefully you can see, but listen to me as I'm talking. So repeated addition and using a model are 2 ways to think about multiplying fractions. And we talked about this the other day, repeated addition. This is like thinking there are so many copies of a particular fraction. So we have 5 copies of 3/4, which is, one form of repeated addition. So here we go. I've got 3/4 plus 3/4 plus, what do you suppose go in these 2 blanks? And here's another 3/4. Yeah, it's 3/4. And I have it, if you'll look, how many times do I have 3/4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 5 3 times. And remember, my denominator, which is my number on the bottom of the fraction, stays the same, but I've got 3 5 times, which is 15. Very good. You can be talking along with me if you want to. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier for you. Think about if I'm right there. Imagine I'm right there. And it says shade the model at the right to show 5 times 3/4. So there are a lot of different ways you can do it. Remember, you don't need to shade the whole thing. Don't go crazy with it. But okay, 3/4. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. And that's the first one. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. There's the second one. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. There's the third one. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. There's the fourth one. And then the last one. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. There's the fifth one. So that's an example of a model that shows 5 times 3/4. Look at number 3. It says fill in the blanks. And I'm going to stop for a second in just a minute to give you a chance to catch up if you haven't quite gotten there yet. But fill in the blanks to find 2 times 5/6 using repeated addition. So let's see. That would be how many copies of 5/6? 2. So I have 5 blank. Well, our fraction is 5/6. Sixths, and then plus 5/6 equals 5 plus 5, or 5 times 2 is 10. That's my numerator. And then my denominator, remember, stays the same. It's sixths. Okay? So let's shade the model to show 2 times 5 6. Sorry, not 2 and 5 6, 2 times 5 6. So it doesn't really matter which ones we shade in as long as we have 5 out of 6 shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. So it's 2 times 5 6. Okay, I'm going to give you guys just a second. You can pause it if you need to at any point and catch up. This part here says use the models above to answer problems 4 and 5. So we're using these models to help us. Fill in the blanks to show other ways to write problems with the same product as 5 times 3/4. And do we remember what the product is? The product is hopefully somebody is saying answer to a multiplication problem. So another way to say this would be, 5 times 3/4. Well, I've got my fourth here, and this is 1. 5 times 3 is 15. So 15 copies of 1/4 is the same as 5 times 3/4. Or I could say 3 times something fourths. Well, 3 times what is 15? 5. So I have 3 copies of 5/4. Remember, a lot of times when we do multiplication, it doesn't matter where we put our numbers that we're multiplying. We can switch them around and we still get the same answer. All right, so let's look at number 5. And if we counted these, so I have, these are all in fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 1/4 that are filled in up here. Still going with number 4. All right, now number 5. Fill in the blanks to show other ways to write problems with the same product as 2 times 5 6. So let's see. 2, I'm thinking here, 2 times 5 6 gives me 10 6, according to this right here. So 10 times blank 6. 10 times what number is 10? Yeah, 1. 10 times 1 is 10. And then blank times 2 6. So I'm trying to get to 10 when I'm multiplying by these two numbers here. So what number times 2 is 10? Hopefully you guys said 5. Good. Now try these two problems, and I'm probably going to have to turn this, so you're going to have to just do the best that you can. And looking at this, draw a model to show 4 times 2/3. So I'm just going to do like a bar model, and I'm going to do it this way. But I need how many of these? I need how many copies? I need 4 copies, so I need to draw 4 of the same thing. Remember, they don't have to be perfect. When I'm done, I know you're watching me. You can do what I'm doing, and you can pause. So I would suggest that after you draw your thirds, I'm trying to do them as best as I can. It's not going to be perfect. I would suggest you pause right here so that way everybody can get caught up. All right, so I need 2/3 filled in. Remember, you don't have to fill it all the way in. It just takes too long. It's too much of a mess. That's 2/3. That's 2/3 filled in. That's 2/3 filled in. That's 2/3 filled in. That's 4 copies of 2/3. Then when I look right here, I can, another one is I'm sorry, let's back up. Can you do other models? Absolutely. But you need to show 2/3 4 times. So you could have done it as a circle with the peace sign in the middle. So since I just brought up circle, let's use circles, a circle model, to do 3 times 2/4. So I need 3 copies of 2/4. So here's my first circle. And I split it in half and split it in half again, and I have fourths. So I need 3 of those. They're not all going to look the same because remember, I'm not a perfect drawer, and I know neither are you. There's the second one. And there's my wonky one. All right, so you can pause and catch up and then open it back up. All right, so I need 3 copies of 2/4. 1/4, 2/4, 1/4, 2/4, 1/4, 2/4. So that's 3 times 2/4. Okay, I flipped my paper over and I'm now on page 199. So I know you guys shouldn't have to flip because I think yours are right next to each other, but we're going to look at the model for problem 6. Draw another model that shows 8 times 1/3. And then how are the two models different? I'd actually like you guys to take just a couple minutes and talk about another model that you could draw to show 8 times 1/3. Maybe take about 3 to 5 minutes and talk about how are the two models different. So you can pause at any time. Now, when I look back at the model for problem 6, here's my problem 6, and I've got 4 times 2/3. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 1/3. So 4 times 2/3 is the same as 8 times 1/3 because it's 8 1/3. So I'm going to just draw. Oh, let's hope it focuses back in. Let's see here. I'll give it a second. Okay, so I was having problems when I paused mine coming back, and it was very, very fuzzy. And I don't have an autofocus like I have on my camera at school. But this is how I drew my 8 times 1/3. So I have thirds. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 sets of thirds. So I need 1/3 8 times. Now, y'all know this is math. Yours does not have to look exactly like mine, but you still need to wind up coming up with the same answer. So how are the two models different? If you'll notice, this one has 8 holes that show 1/3. So this model has 8 holes. Make sure you put your W on the holes. That each show 1/3. And the other model has how many holes? The one that I drew has 4 holes. That each show, how many were in each hole? 2/3. Make sure you put your period at the end. So what's the total number of thirds shaded in each model? If I were to flip back over, and I don't want to because it's going to make it blurry again, but each one has 8 thirds shaded. So both models show 8 thirds shaded. Sorry for the messy handwriting, guys. Doing the best that I can right here. Now, number 9 says, look at your model for problem 7. How many fourths are shaded in all? How many fourths were shaded in all? Hopefully, if you did yours the same way that I did, there were 6 fourths because we had 2 fourths and 2 fourths and 2 fourths, which would have been 6 fourths. So writing incomplete sentences, capital letters at the beginning, there are 6/4 shaded. Okay, think of a different model with a total of 6/4 shaded. Fill in the blank to write a multiplication equation for this model. So blank times 1/4 equals 6/4. This is what I'm thinking. Blank times 1 equals 6. Yeah, it's 6. Good. So I could have done a different model, and I could have done 1/4 6 times, kind of the same way that I did up here. I could have had fourths. I could have had 6 of them and just shaded one in, 1/4 out of each of those. So let's try it another way. Work with your group to use the number lines to multiply fractions. So just why don't you take about 2 to 3 minutes and work on this. So pause it for just a minute and then you can come back. So it says fill in the blanks on the number line to show 4 times 3/5. Well, that would be 3/5 plus 3/5 plus 3/5 plus 3/5. Well, 3/5 plus 3/5 is 6/5. And then 6/5 plus 3/5 is 9/5. And 9/5 plus 3/5 is 12/5. So 4 times 3/5 is 12/5. If we look at this, let's see. When I think from 0 to 1 and I'm going in fifths, this would be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, which is 1. So 1/5, 2/5. So another way to say it is 2 and 2/5 as a mixed number. Don't worry about it. If you don't get that part, that's okay. Now, number 12 says label the number line below to show 6 times 2/10. Well, I start with 0, and what's my first tenth? It's 1/10. And here's 2/10. 6 times 2/10. So 2/10 plus 2/10 plus 2/10 plus 2/10 plus 2/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 2/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So here's 2/10. And then the next one, jump, is 4/10. And then I'm jumping 2 more tenths. 1, 2, which is 6/10. And then right here, which is 8/10. And then 10/10. And then 12/10. So if I think about it, 6 times 2 is 12. There we go. And I'm leaving my denominator the same. That's it for today. Hopefully you guys get everything else done that you need to do. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on Wednesday.